Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chat from a Hat. I'm your host, Josh Brown, along with my co-host,
Caleb Luther.
Caleb, how are you? It has been such a long time since we have done a podcast.
Yeah, has it?
No.
I didn't think so.
God.
A week?
About a week is right. Caleb, how was your week?
It was pretty good. Pretty good. Not much. Just waiting around for the new Blink album for this episode.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Trust me, we will get.
So would I do anything else? Oh yeah, I watched the Killers of the Flower Moon. That was sick. Loved it.
Good. 3.5 hours with Martin Scorsese.
I could not find. I didn't have to use the bathroom, but if I did, I could not find a place to go to the bathroom during that movie. I was like, dang. Like I feel like everything that's happening is important.
Yeah.
So that's always a good sign of a movie that's dang near 4 hours. So
yeah, I'm probably gonna
loved it.
Probably gonna have to wait to stream that because I do not know.
It'll be up eventually
if I can.
Since it's Apple, it's Apple TV Plus. So
yeah, I don't know if I can do it. So Caleb, we had some delicious coffee yesterday.
We did.
We had some delicious.
Why didn't I had delicious tea?
You had tea. You had tea.
Yeah, I don't do coffee.
From Go Ahead and Try It.
Ole.
Yes.
Our friend Chelsea.
Yes.
Chelsea Wiley. Ole Coffee Company had her
grand opening
at the Williamson Spook Fest.
Yes. She was out there serving delicious drinks for hours upon end. Had coffee, tea, coolers, you name it, she probably could have made it for you. I had a caramel mocha latte, and it was absolutely one of the most delicious caramel.
I had a different variation of a green tea that I've never had with different kind of fruity and lime elements. It was great. And it had honey in it. It was just. I even asked Chelsea, what's the best tea here? She was like, this. I was like, okay,
make it.
It's like I didn't want to have a caffeinated drink, but here I go.
Yep.
It was great. It got me going.
Yeah, Nancy had a toasted marshmallow cooler, and I tasted that as well, and it was so good. God, it was so good. It was peak coffee time because it was just fall, or it's getting fall out. It's getting cool. But yes, very nice.
Yeah. Go like her Facebook page.
Yes,
it's spelled AU, two different words. AU. Second word, LAIT.
Yes.
In Coffee Company. Go give it a like. Yes. Yesterday was the first day they started business.
She's already got up to about 100 likes already in the span of probably about 24
so
hours. That's always great.
That's on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep. It's always great. And keep an eye out on her Facebook page to find out where she's going to be and go get some coffee or tea or coolers from her.
For her to be around our neck of the woods, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we could probably just be like, hey, Chelsea, can we get some coffee or some tea?
Yeah, but I want everybody else to.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. Caleb, what else did you get into this week?
Not a whole bunch. Just been watching random horror movies that maybe I haven't seen or haven't watched in a while. Spent the last night and this morning watching a movie called Haunt from 2019. It's about a haunted house, extreme haunted house, and generic stuff happens, but it was actually way better than I was expecting. The haunted house people were trying to kill the people, and it was cool. It had some good revenge plots in it. So
nice
recommendation from Casey King.
Oh, well then you definitely are watching a shit film then. If that's
according to him, it's me that watches the bad movies. He doesn't. I hate to put him on the spot, but I'm gonna
put him on the spot.
He doesn't like the A24.
Yeah, that's why I understand. That's
what I'm talking about. No, which is I guess that's common sometimes, but I'm just is it not? Okay. I mean, I know people that literally legitimately think that Hereditary is bad, and I'm like, oh man, that's one of my favorite. It's literally one of my favorite horror movies.
I don't know what they're watching,
and I think our feelings are legitimate. We're not faking that.
No,
gosh,
Jesus Christ, man!
Somebody just jeez,
someone just died outside.
Surely the people heard that one.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
and heard that too.
Sorry,
new listeners in your ears.
That's it for me. What'd you do? You didn't do anything this week, did you?
No, I didn't do a thing.
Except you went to a concert.
I went to a concert. I saw Kiss for the first time.
A band called Kiss. It was very satanic.
It was very satanic.
Actually, it wasn't. It ended up being the opposite.
Yeah. So, Nancy and Caleb want me to tell this story, so I'm going to tell the story real quick. Nancy and I celebrated our anniversary. That's not part of the story. I just wanted to put context. And we get into the show, and it's 2 songs left in the set. And Paul Stanley gets up on stage, and I have never known of them to do this, and it's probably something they've done for years, but I just never knew about it. So Paul Stanley gets up there, and he goes, "Now, people, there's nothing wrong with being a patriot. There's nothing wrong with loving your country." And he's like, and he gets up there and he goes, "Now I want everybody to stand up and place your hand over your heart, and we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance." And by God, he does the Pledge of Allegiance in the middle of a show.
God, Paul Stanley.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know why we did it, but apparently we did it. And Nancy was like, Nancy looks at me and she goes, "Is this like some sort of like Kiss Army pledge that I don't know about?" I said, "No, I don't know what's going on." And then he just proceeded to go into the Pledge of Allegiance, and I just went, "Well, all right, that's what we're doing. Okay, cool." All right.
Jesus.
Still, even though all that, still a great concert. I can't wait for November, honestly, because I'm going to see him again in November. Will it be the same show? Yeah, absolutely, probably same damn thing. But you know what? Do not care. So
that's good.
Yeah. So Caleb, so last week we had a conversation about snack cakes, and apparently it was a very hot ticket item. Apparently we had some hot takes.
We had some hot takes.
We had some hot takes.
I knew that you had some hot takes, but I never expected it to be me having hot takes. But it was both of us that had the hot take on this one. The Star Crunch, the Little Debbie food.
That are trash.
I haven't had in years and years.
They're terrible.
From my memory, it sucked, kind of.
Yeah.
I had it D. I think he had it F.
Yeah.
But John Poole immediately was the first one to call us out on it.
I mean,
you said it's a favorite. Favorite of his.
I'm sorry, John.
And then you shared the podcast again later in the week, and there was a couple comments on it that said this the Star Crunch Army came in, and they gave their Star Crunch. They did the Pledge of Allegiance for the Star Crunch, like Paul Stanley did, But yeah, yeah.
I mean, if that's what you all want to do and everything.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you had some bad takes.
Bubby,
the oatmeal cream pie.
I don't care.
The oatmeal cream pie one is just like...
Are terrible.
No.
They're terrible.
No,
they're terrible.
No, Joshua.
Oh, speaking of hot takes, apparently like buttercream versus whipped icing was a hot take too, apparently.
I mean buttercream ended up being very much victorious, but there's still there's the whipped icing truthers out there.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand
it. You know what I call them? Sadists.
Whenever, to me, I don't know if it's just like a taste bud memory, and it's just the second that
don't like nice things.
The second it hits my taste buds, I immediately am like, oh, this is cheap. Oh, this is a cheap cake. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're going cheap today. I understand. I don't like it. I understand. But some people legitimately some people legitimately like prefer it. I'm like, oh man,
no.
If I could,
sir.
I'm glad I don't have those taste buds.
No. Well, anyway, Caleb, we've rambled on enough. Let's get to this week's topic of Blink-182 versus Green Day, Green Day versus
it's Green Day versus Blink-182 because they came first.
Guess what? They
came first.
I win in alphabetical order. So
too bad.
I win. They have chronological, which means they absolutely get to go first.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a second quick breaky break because we've already done this.
Not gonna lie, guys, we've taken one break and the audio already messed up. We had to play it with a poker face.
No more poker face.
No more poker face.
If it messes up, we're going on. Caleb, it didn't mess up, so we're going on. So Green Day versus Blink-182, the showdown.
Yes.
The showdown of the two most popular pop punk bands of all time.
Sure.
And we're gonna put some real hot takes on here today.
Well, this was a topic we initially took out, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know, it just interests me again.
It organically came back.
It's like how topics, I lose interest in topics, and they come back and they hit it throughout time. I was like, we need to do this before I lose interest in this topic.
Well,
but Blink-182 had a new album coming out this week, and Green Day
put out 2 new songs.
Has like a new song coming out this week. Yeah. So
they've leaked. We've listened.
I didn't listen to the actual audio of the song.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've only heard the live.
It was in that link I sent you.
I didn't know.
Wow.
I didn't click it. I didn't listen to it.
You were in a haze, and that's okay.
I was in a haze.
But
so you didn't. You've been gone a lot this week, so I did a lot of like the formatting, and I've got you up to speed on it, and the formatting is good. It's perfect. It's perfect format. Everybody knows
perfect format. Perfect.
We're gonna go through the years here, Blink-182 and Green Day, and try to figure out who is the better band of the two, because like you said, they're probably the two most popular pop punk bands, even though some people would even argue maybe they're not pop punk, neither of them.
Well,
I think they have their pop punk elements, and then they branched off and did other things, but yeah,
they branched off into good, branched off into bad.
They both have, yes, at times. So let's talk about the early years, the early independent years, Joshua.
Okay.
Green Day released 39/Smooth, and Kerplunk. Those were their two independent albums. Blink-182 released Cheshire Cat. That was their first album, unless you want to count Buddha.
Now, forgive me. I'm going to be going to Spotify here.
Okay.
And going through some of the track listings for each of these albums just to make sure that I'm correct.
You can if you want. Go ahead and do it.
But go ahead. You were saying about Buddha.
Well, I was saying a lot of people would like to consider Buddha, but Buddha's more of a compilation demo album.
Okay.
Which is funny because I saw the vinyl for Buddha at Books A Million yesterday, which was wild to me.
I've seen it a few times.
It's not even like considered like a album, like a studio album, but that was wild. Are you there? Do you want to talk about the track list or anything like that?
Sure.
Or,
well, you can go ahead and talk about. I'm on Green Days right now, actually.
I was just going to jump right into it.
Go ahead.
An opinion. I don't think it's a hot take though. I think it's very obvious from these early albums that Green Day just shaped their sound and overall performance a lot better than Blink-182.
I agree.
The production, songwriting, overall talent is just way leagues above Cheshire Cat. Cheshire Cat has its moments. I mean, but at its best, it does feel like a demo. And I know people like the rawness, but I like the rawness of maybe a couple albums later compared to Cheshire Cat. Whereas the rawness in the Green Day's first albums really complement them because they're playing excellent. I know Trade Cool wasn't on the first album, but he was on Kerplunk. That was his first album, and the vocals and sloppy performances are just scattered through Cheshire Cat. Honestly, I think that Green Day's first albums are quite a bit better than a lot of their later releases. So I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I just think that they're super solid.
I wouldn't say
pop punk albums.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a hot take because you look at the first especially on Kerplunk. If you look at the first 4 tracks on that album,
it's solid.
Are solid, just solid. 2,000 Light Years Away is honestly one of my favorite Green Day songs. One for the Razorbacks, Welcome to Paradise, which was later on Dookie. Christine Road.
Christine Road's great.
Yeah.
I love I Was There. Is that on 39 Smooth or Kerplunk? I Was There. I really like that one.
I think that's on.
That might be on 39 Smooth.
I think so.
So that's
yes.
That's an excellent song. Whereas Cheshire Cat, I mean, you got like M&M's and you got what's the one song that's like super popular that has like the opening bass riff? Carousel. The one.
Yes.
Very. That's good. It's a really iconic bass riff, but the production and the performances are just not. They're just not there yet. Yeah. They haven't really shaped into what they could be at the time. So to me, this is a point for Green Day.
Point for
Green Day. 0 points for Blink-182.
Okay.
Next, and we have their major record label debuts, Josh. A lot of people would think that Enema of the State is Blink-182's major record label.
Well, they're wrong, Caleb.
But they're not. I mean, they are wrong. They're wrong. Yeah, you're right. It's a Dude Ranch. Wow. And Green Day's, of course, is Dookie. So this is a Dookie versus Dude Ranch situation here.
Yes.
Both albums are considered some of the greatest pop-punk albums of all time. So Green Day's rawness was still there on Dookie. At least I think so. I don't think it's like overproduced or polished in the slightest. I know they had people saying like they sold out or whatever, but Dookie's, I mean, I think that's as raw as it can get when it comes to a major record label album. I mean, geez, gosh.
Yeah.
I think that the extra bit of production definitely made a difference, and I think their precise songwriting improved even more so than on Kerplunk. What do you think about Dookie? Is it not one of your favorite Green Day albums?
I would.
I know you love it.
I do love Dookie. I do love Dookie a lot. So while we were talking about doing this, I have been thinking a lot about Green Day's albums and where they kind of sit with me. It would definitely be a top 5.
Oh God,
it would be a top 5, but I don't know if it would be in my top 3. I really don't. Which is kind of. I know that would be considered a hot take, and a lot of people think Dookie is their best record. But moving forward here, I think I would almost prefer.
Let me think real quick.
Let
me think of these other albums without saying their names.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got this album. It's my fourth favorite Green Day album.
I would say it's
my fourth favorite Green Day album.
Fourth or fifth. Honestly,
it's almost third, but there's another one that I like a little bit more.
Okay.
So Dookie is. I mean, it's considered a classic of its genre. And as for Blink-182, the difference between this album and their last album is night and day. Holy cow! Dude Ranch's tight, well produced, has relatively strong songwriting. And despite both albums...
Still not a big, huge fan of Dude Ranch, though.
You know what? I think it's aged extremely well.
Oops.
It's absolutely not overproduced. It's the right amount of production. It's not as goofy as you'd think. Yeah. I think Enema of the State has more like jokes in it. There's some really strong songwriting on this.
We'll get to
And like I said, with both albums falling under the pop punk genre, they're drastically different. Green Day has a little bit more of a cynical feel to it, while Dude Ranch is lighter and even comedic, almost like a skate punk feel to it. I don't know if have you ever listened to Jimmy Eat World's debut album?
No, I haven't.
It sounds a lot like Dude Ranch, and that's whenever I found out that that Jimmy Eat World was one of Tom DeLonge's favorite bands in the 90s, which is why they wrote the song Emo on Dude Ranch to try to sound like a Jimmy Eat World song, which is one of my favorite Blink-182 songs. I love it's an emo song. It's great.
Did not know that.
So it's Dude Ranch is a career highlight for Blink-182, no doubt. I think that is. You're saying that you don't like it. You can talk about more about it here.
It's fine.
But I was going to say, with it being a career highlight, I still can't stand up to the absolute powerhouse that Dookie is. It's not as good.
I would completely agree with that.
It's not as good.
I don't think honestly that Dookie has a skip. Don't think Dookie has a skip.
I mean, the songs are quick and to the point.
Short,
I mean, they're sound great. Performances are great.
Yep. And I mean, when you look at it, especially when you look at what is on Dookie, there are songs on this that they still play to this day. How many songs does...
Damn It.
Yeah.
Damn It, maybe Josie.
Yeah.
But to the Blink fan base, I mean, I know this wasn't like a huge album, but for like the Blink fan base, this has a lot of winners on it. And just re-listen to it, it's like, oh, there's songs on here that I like more than I initially thought. Well, there's some stuff that does feel a little generic, but a lot of stuff feels more unique than maybe some of their bigger albums in the 2000s. So, moving on.
So, is that a point for somebody or
Green Day?
Okay, so it's 2-0.
It's 2-0 Green Day.
Okay, 2-0 Green Day so far. All right, Caleb. So we've moved on. 2-0 Green Day. Now, next
we have the '90s follow-up album / in parentheses, albums.
Albums, yes.
Green Day has two more albums in the '90s. Blink-182 just has the one. Green Day's follow-up albums were Insomniac and Nimrod. Blink's was Enema of the State.
Yes.
Enema of the State very likely reached more popularity than both of those albums, and it
without question.
And it really catapulted Blink-182 into the mainstream
with the power of TRL.
Do you think I saw someone talk about this the other day? Do you think Blink-182 almost single-handedly ended the boy band fad? They released. I don't think they ended it. I think they didn't last much longer.
I think they were a good alternative to it.
Well, they released that video for All the Small Things, which was sort of like which notoriously I don't love that song, but it does have a very clever and funny music video. I
think they more were trying, especially during the TRL days, to be different, but at the same time be commercial. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like they were trying to be an alternative to the boy bands.
It is a commercial album, especially with What's My Age Again and All the Small Things. But I still think What's My Age Again is a pretty excellent little tune. And there's there's absolutely some bangers on it. But Green Day, if anything, doubled down on their cynicism.
Yeah,
and even dark,
especially with Insomniac.
Even a darker fashion on Insomniac. Yeah. Yes. While dipping their toes into a bit more ambitious territory on Nimrod was where they really started to let's try to figure out what we can do with our sound.
It felt, and I've read this a few times, and I would agree that Insomniac was the heavier "you want a punk record, here you go" compared to Dookie.
Yeah,
and then Nimrod was kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of like Insomniac like purist out there, but I still like Dookie more. And I even like Nimrod more. Yeah. Truthfully, I like Enema of the State more than Insomniac. I just think, there are some immature elements on Enema of the State, but man, it's got some of Blink's best songs, man. You got Dumpweed, Don't Leave Me, Aliens Exist. Going Away the Call is one of my favorite Blink-182 songs. I mean, Adam's song, I know it's been a little bit overplayed, but it's solid. I mean, you can feel Mark's emotion in that. And But Nimrod to me is a very underappreciated Green Day album.
I agree. I'll agree.
With I think some of their best songs, like holy cow, just incredible songs. What do you have to say about Enema of the State and Insomniac and Nimrod here?
Well, I mean, you kind of hit it on the head, and I more so think of, like I said, whenever I think of Enema of the State, I honestly think of those music videos and those TRL moments of them being on.
TRL was pretty fresh at the time; it was new, and really them and Green Day, and maybe there was a couple other like lower pop punk bands, but they were their only pop punk bands like around.
I mean, but even around that time though, other than
Good Riddance,
Good Riddance, and
I mean, what other? I mean, like Hitchin' a Ride wasn't a huge hit, and neither was what's the song? I cannot speak. I lost my voice. Redundant. Yeah. Not big hits.
No.
But Good Riddance is like their biggest hit, maybe.
Good Riddance is, dude. I mean, if we're looking at it from a cultural impact, Green Day wasn't hitting then. Blink-182 though was going out.
Blink-182 was coming in hot.
Was coming in hot. They were starting to blast off into another stratosphere when it came to those.
Well, it was their first album with Travis in the band. They got rid of Scott, who was the drummer on their first two albums, and I don't know. I think it changed
the sound.
I think it gave them a different look.
Yeah,
it changed their sound. Their drum parts immediately became like, whoa, holy cow, what are they doing? What is this? This is something. But yeah,
dude, if we're given points,
well, I have an interesting point.
Okay, go ahead.
Points here. I have an interesting. I'm rewarding both bands a point on this one.
Oh, we can do that.
I can. Yeah.
Okay.
I told you this earlier that there may be times where I reward multiple points on one because to me, I like Enema of the State more than Insomniac, but I prefer Nimrod over Enema of the State. Since it's a 2-against-1 situation here, I can't just dogpile Enema of the State. I got to reward it with something here. So I say it's 3-1.
Even though, what I was going to say was, even though
you don't have to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, even though I prefer Nimrod, and Nimrod is probably higher than Dookie for me as far as
I like it more.
An album.
I like it more.
There's such an argument of Blink-182 being the biggest band in the world situation at that time.
Well, you got them and Foo Fighters.
Yeah, so
because Foo Fighters was another band like that. Learn to Fly video was everywhere, and that came out in '99, I believe.
As far as them like just taking control of everything,
yeah.
Blink was in the forefront, and Green Day was trying to play catch up.
This is where pop punk became pop. I mean, it's not musically pop, but it was definitely shoved into the mainstream with pop artists. Yeah. So,
as much as I love Nimrod and Insomniac, I'm going to give a point to Blink-182.
Oh, so you're saying 2-1?
2-1.
I'm sticking with my 3-1 because I can't. Nimrod's just so good.
Oh, dude, it's great. It's great. But if we are talking right now about who was the better, bigger band at that time. Without question, Blink was in the forefront, and Green Day was riding coattails.
I get that completely. Moving on. New decade.
New music.
Y2K.
Y2K happened.
Y2K.
Everybody died.
Okay, so both bands put out an album in the early 2000s. Green Day was in the year 2000. Green Day shifted in sound a bit to make their most mature sounding record, to me, and honestly my personal favorite Green Day album, Warning, while Blink-182 maintained their somewhat silly and immature attitude, actually maybe doubling down on it with Take Off Your Pants and Jackets.
I would say so, yes.
To me, Warning, just jumping right into, is light years better than Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Like, so much better. Featuring some of their most simplistic yet strongest songwriting,
You know, the thing of it is, for that record, and I will say this until the day that I die, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was more popular, but Warning is Green Day's best overall record.
I think so.
They play the best. The lyrics are not nonsensical. Billy Joe sat down and wrote his ass off on that record.
It's got great songwriting on it. Yeah.
Lyrically, incredible. It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And, the more singer-songwriter approach to it, while still having a little bit of electric feel to it, no MGMT reference there. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, I think Take Off Your Pants and Jacket has a few major highlights. But it's also an album that, to me, has not held up that great. I think that the way that it's almost overly polished compared to Enema of the State. And I don't love the overly polished pop punk sound.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you get in a lot of modern pop punk bands, and that's probably why this album is such a huge influence on modern pop punk bands. But
Yeah.
that just makes it worse for me because it appealed heavily to 13-year-old me, like so much. I loved it. So like Story of a Lonely Guy to me at the age of 14 was like, this is my anthem. But in retrospect, Story of a Lonely Guy is like, why is this guy singing it? Like, how old is this guy? Why is he singing about it? But it doesn't offer much to adult me, while Warning is amazing no matter what age. Actually, it may age better as years go by. It's just, it has my favorite Green Day song and Macy's Day Parade. So, I mean, well, you finish us off here.
I would say Take Off Your Pants and Jacket has a lot of songs on it that I really like.
Yeah, sure.
I do like.
Do you think Roller Coaster is the best song on the album?
I would say Roller Coaster.
And Every Time I Look,
too.
Well, I like Every Time I Look for You.
Yeah, that's a good song too.
I like Please Take Me Home, kind of.
Online songs. I think Reckless Abandon is a good song.
It's just so ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but it's a good song.
I like online songs. I don't like First Date, and I don't like The Rock Show. Happy Holidays is ridiculous.
Yeah. What about Give Me One Good Reason?
No, it's good.
You don't like this song?
I loved it as a 13-year-old, but those lyrics are ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's about being a punk rocker.
But here's the thing.
Screw the preps.
As good as the songs are on that record, Warning is the overlooked gem of Green Day's catalog.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it, really. And I think it's because it wasn't an in-your-face album. It was a relaxed, sit back and listen to this type of record.
But I still think Minority is one of their most in-your-face songs.
But that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The Minority is the throwback to that sound.
Blood, Sex, and Booze.
Yeah. Warning will always be my favorite Green Day record.
Me too, no doubt.
Until they bring out something that's better than it, and they're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it.
See, so that's a spoiler alert for the next two albums. But
we didn't talk about this on the 90s album, but to me this was the last Green Day album that really had like heavily featured bass. After this, they started layering a lot more guitars. But man, Mike's bass on this album sounds great, and it did on all the '90s albums too. But I think the production on this one's even sharper and better. So yeah, I give Green Day the point. So I got Green Day 4, Blink-182 1 right now.
Okay,
you got 3-1? Is that what you got?
Yes.
Since you didn't do the 2 points.
Yes, 3-1.
All right, moving on. Artistic peaks, both bands.
Ooh,
interesting stuff. Ooh. Interesting stuff here. This may be the most interesting category of the whole show.
This is where you and I are going to either get really divisive or we're going to get really on the same page.
I don't know. Okay, between this, we gotta say this first. Between Blink-182 releases, Tom started a side project with Travis Barker called Boxcar Racer. The album was called Boxcar Racer. It was released in 2002. It was a much more aggressive and darker detour for both of them, I think, featuring just explosive instrumentation and mildly concerning lyrics. Where I was like, Tom,
he was too busy worrying about aliens.
This was at the time where Tom was addicted to painkillers at the time. You could definitely hear it on this album. I say this because this growth as an artist, heavily carried over to Blink-182's 2003 Untitled album. On the other end, there was also a 4-year gap in between Green Day albums, and their next,
you know the story about the lost album called Cigarettes and Valentines that was apparently recorded, completed, and then was stolen. And somehow it's never surfaced.
Likely story.
Likely.
It sucked.
Yeah, it was probably garbage.
It was not as good as American Idiot, which was their next album, 2004's American Idiot. With a year or so between each release, both bands, to me, reached their absolute creative peaks.
You know what I think happened? And I'm just going to sum it up in about 3 sentences. This is what happened. Blink-182 brought out Untitled. Green Day heard that album.
I don't think so. They've been working on it for years, I'm sure.
Hold on. Green Day heard that album and said, yeah, we can't release that. We cannot release that.
Do you think they only spent a year recording American Idiot?
I want to say that on that, it wasn't very long,
really?
Was it?
Well, I mean,
because
there's a writing process too. I mean,
right. But what I'm saying is that I want to say in that movie that they brought out about American Idiot that they didn't spend that long recording it. Hold on, go ahead. You go ahead and start. I will let you. I will let you know.
Well, I was going to speak on Blink for a second here. Blink-182 nearly completely outgrew their pop-punk sound to create something that's both sonically interesting and, I think, extremely exciting. Travis's drum parts became way more experimental. Tom's guitar work and lyricism shifted drastically, and Mark adjusted extremely well to the change with nice complementary parts throughout the album, despite the album feeling heavily Tom-oriented.
So, real quick. American Idiot was recorded April 2003 through March of 2004.
There you go.
And
Blink's album released in
Blink's
November.
album was recorded from January to October of 2003.
Yeah, so their album released a month later after.
No, American.
I mean, Blink's album. They got done recording and the album released a month. There's a documentary. It's called. I think it's called MTV Launched. It's following.
I know what you're talking about.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It shows Blink-182 recording the album, and they were on the. They were on the deadline. Like they were. Well, they barely got it in.
That's what I'm saying. So
they might have actually like pushed it even further.
There really was a year apart between these two records.
Yeah.
Like a literal year apart.
Yeah.
So did that maybe affect some of it?
Did American Idiot came out before the presidential election, correct?
Yeah, like a week.
Really?
Before.
Wow.
I think
they should have hit about a month or two before.
Because
I thought it was September.
It was released. Yeah, September 21st is when it was released.
Okay, so a couple months before.
No.
Well, the election's in November.
That's not a couple of months. That's 2 weeks.
September?
Election September 21st. Election day is the second Tuesday of November.
That's not 2 weeks, Josh. There's a whole last month in between there. October.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Gosh, Jesus Christ Almighty! I was like, am I losing my mind right now?
No, it's
like,
just me losing my mind.
What does this guy know that I don't know?
Oh, I'm so tired.
Jesus Christ! But yeah,
folks, it has been a doozy of a week.
On the opposite end, compared to Blink-182's new sound that they had created, Green Day
should have released that album in March. Is when they should.
Green Day created like an all-out rock opera in American Idiot, heavily inspired by American politics. In this moment in time, Green Day was very likely the biggest band in the world.
Oh, they were,
like no doubt, and rightfully so. Would you agree with that?
Sold out 2 nights at a
Blink. Blink had a few. Well, they had one really huge song on Untitled with "And I Miss You."
Yeah.
Man. But I mean, Feeling This was big. Down was big. Always was big. You know.
But it wasn't American Idiot. Holiday.
It wasn't as big as Boulevard of Broken Dreams and Wake Me Up When September Ends. So that comes.
But, give me the singles from Untitled, from the singles from American Idiot.
Here's my next point. Sure, some of the singles on American Idiot were definitely overplayed, but when you look at the entire track list, there's just so many ambitious and well-structured songs. My hot take
on Untitled or on American Idiot?
American Idiot.
Okay.
My hot take is that I actually prefer Untitled over American Idiot.
Okay.
And yeah, the singles on Untitled, I'd listen to way before I'd listen to American Idiot's singles. I don't dislike any of the single. Like it's not like I actively dislike the song American Idiot or Wake Me Up When September Ends. There might have been a time where I liked those songs, but that time is long gone. I can't remember what it feels like because I've heard them so many times that I have no feeling when I hear those songs.
Here's the thing. Okay. Here's the problem. Okay.
Here's the problem.
I'm not a fan of Are We the Waiting? I'm not a fan of Give Me Novocaine. I'm not a fan of those 2 songs. Don't like them.
Oh, I love Give Me Novocaine.
Don't like them. I
like those songs.
I honestly feel it brings, especially Give Me Novocaine, brings American Idiot to a screeching halt. I skip it every time.
Oh, I love that. I love how the guitars come in. Da-na-na-na, give me back the 12.
It does nothing for me.
Oh man, I like that song a lot.
However, when we go over to the Untitled, if I can get my freaking phone to work,
there's not one song I dislike on Untitled.
If we
not
get
at
all,
I'm just saying.
Wait. You just wait. Let me get to the track list. Let me get to the track list real quick. Because let me tell you something.
Nearly perfect.
There are a few songs on here that I think are poopy.
No.
My
God.
Let's see here.
Really? What on earth are you talking about?
Here's Your Letter Is Shit.
What?
What? I'm just kidding. I just wanted to make you
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Oh, I was about to lose my mind here. Jesus. Up in here. My God.
Let's see.
I like it. Down's my least favorite song on Untitled.
Yeah.
I like Down.
Yeah,
the
Down's
Fallen interlude is interesting, especially in my later years. I skipped it when I was a kid, but I listen to that stuff. Now it's got great drum part. It's got a really cool like groovy guitar lick inside there. I like it.
And this is a hot take, and I know you're going to be really pissed off about it.
Let's hear it.
I can take or leave all of this. I can take it or
Oh
leave
my
it.
god!
I can take it or leave it.
What?
Dude. Seriously. It's fine.
No!
It's fine. Here's the thing. You have that really hard-hitting song.
Oh my god.
Beforehand. You have Easy Target beforehand, and then it just...
This is
screeching halt.
This is a miserable take.
It might be.
All of this is the best Blink-182 song. It's their best song. I love it so much.
But again,
especially pairing it with Easy Target. The second half of Untitled is incredible. From Go to I'm Lost Without You. My gosh. So good. Asthenia.
Here's your letter is still terrible.
No! Asthenia is so good.
Here's
Here's Your Letter. I get emotional not Here's Your Letter, but I'm Lost Without You.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit emotional every time I hear that one.
If we're giving, I don't like to do that because I feel it's a cop out. I still have to give both records
a point.
So I have to.
So this will even it up with us, I guess.
I have to give both of them because American Idiot. Here's the thing, though. Give me Jesus of Suburbia or Homecoming over anything on Untitled.
Sure.
Over anything on Untitled.
I'm with you, but I'm also skipping. I'm skipping American Idiot, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and Wake Me Up When September Ends every time I listen to that album. And whenever I go through Untitled, I ain't skipping a song.
And here's the thing.
Not skipping a song.
Listen, folks. Spotify, if you are listening,
oh my God,
split the damn tracks up on American Idiot.
It's a travesty.
It's stupid.
I just wanted to listen to Letterbomb, and I had to listen to Extraordinary Girl with it, which
dumb.
I like Extraordinary Girl, but I mean, come on, can I just get like a Letterbomb by itself?
No, you can't.
So, I'm just giving Untitled a point. I'm not giving.
You're not giving American Idiot a point.
I'm not.
Okay.
It's one against one. I'm not going to do it.
So
if it was uneven and there was like another album there, I might would, but I'm not.
Okay.
Because I'm not giving Box Crazy or anything because it's not a Blink album.
Okay.
Some people would consider it, but it's not.
Again, I like both albums really, really well, so I have to give them both points. I don't know what that brings me up to. I haven't been paying attention.
Untitled is by far my favorite Blink-182 album. It's like a 9.5 out of 10.
I need
and to me,
a thing here.
American Idiot to me is about an 8.8 out of 10.
What are we up to here? What do you got right now?
I got Green Day 4 and Blink-182 2.
Okay, so
that's probably you. Because this evened it up because you
okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. G D B 1 8.
There you go.
All right.
Caleb
spurred this whole point system on me. I didn't know we were doing it. So
yeah. But moving on. Years later, several years later, both bands released albums. So this is the follow-up years later segment of the show.
Yeah.
Both bands responded to their creative peak with albums years later. In 21st Century Breakdown by Green Day, and of course Neighborhoods by Blink. If I'm not mistaken, there was a little bit of a, was there not like a breakup somewhere in there with Blink-182, like around 2008?
Yeah, they went on hiatus.
For
a little bit.
The Neighborhoods was their comeback album 8 years later, 2011. Yeah. And 21st Century Breakdown was 2009, correct?
Yep, so 5 years after American Idiot.
Yeah. To me, just to jump into both albums real quick and have my overall feelings on them, both albums are a step down from those peaks from 2003 and 2004, but they're not bad at all. They're not. Green Day that sort of continued the rock opera path from American Idiot in a slightly less ambitious effort, to me at least, with I think far worse singles. Actually, most of the singles on this album I despise. Like I hate 21 Guns and I hate Know Your Enemy. I hate those songs.
Okay. But
some pretty exceptional deep tracks. Would you not agree? There's there's a lot of songs on this album, and
are we talking about 21st Century Breakdown?
Yeah. Okay. Before the Lobotomy, I love that song.
I think 21st Century Breakdown is fantastic. I think Before the Lobotomy is fantastic. I even like Christian's Inferno. I think
single.
I think Christian's Inferno was a single.
I think it was.
I don't think it was a single, dude.
I think it was, dude.
No.
Was it not?
No. The only singles from the album are Know Your Enemy, 21 Guns, East Jesus Nowhere, which I despise.
Okay, it must be East Jesus Nowhere that I'm thinking.
That's the song before.
Okay, yeah, my bad.
Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Which I do like Peacemaker a lot too. And then the other 2 singles were 21st Century Breakdown and Last of the American Girls.
Okay, yeah.
So, having said that, looking back on it now, I definitely prefer Neighborhoods over 21st Century
Breakdown. Just jumping right into it.
Yes.
Okay, well, I was going to say, for Blink, Tom's time away with his other side project Angels and Airwaves, clearly had an impact on the new Blink sound, which is still divisive to this day for some reason. There's more effect-centric guitar parts, providing a more spacey atmosphere throughout the album. And I think while the songwriting and overall production isn't on par with Untitled, their longtime producer, Jerry Finn, had passed away in between Untitled and Neighborhoods. So they were a producer on Blink-182 themselves was a producer on the sound with a couple of their producers, and I think it sounds fine. I feel like this new sound fits in well with the combined songwriting efforts of all 3 of them. And on top of that, they also released an EP the very next year called Dogs Eating Dogs, which is arguably even stronger than the album, depending on how you look at it. Featuring absolutely a couple career highlights. Like When I Was Young, when I Was Young is just like that's so explosive and such a great song.
Well, I look at it from the perspective of especially on Neighborhoods. Ghost on the Dance Floor is awesome.
It's great.
I like Up All Night and After Midnight. I know they were singles, but I don't hate those.
I like those songs too. There's only one song that I dislike on the album. Love is Dangerous. I think it's boring.
Really?
I think it's so.
I didn't think it was.
And it's a travesty that on the regular album version, it's the ending.
Well.
Because even if She Falls is so much better, they should have always been the deluxe edition. Should have always been because Fighting the Gravity is great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Heart's All Gone is okay. Yeah. Kaleidoscope is good.
Dude, Kaleidoscope is amazing.
Yeah. This Is Home is good. MH418
is the best song on the album.
Fighting the Gravity is the best song.
No, MH. I
disagree.
Fighting the Gravity is the second best song on the album.
Anyway.
No, dude, as we're saying this, man, this may be real. Like, I may be talking myself into thinking that this is Blink-182's second best album.
It probably is Blink-182.
It's either this or Enema of the State for me, but...
to me, I would put this as the second best album.
Judging by my musical taste... Mm-hmm. I might rather listen to Neighborhoods because it's so interesting and dense with so many different things.
Listen, I liked this album as soon as it came out.
There was a bit of an adjustment, but I adjusted quickly while other people just couldn't. They're like Tom's voice. I'm like,
Tom sounds.
It's fine. It's fine.
Give me Tom's voice on Neighborhoods compared to the bullshit that it is on that new record that we'll talk about soon.
Well, they're not trying to recreate Tom's voice on Neighborhoods. It's just what his voice sounded like.
Yes,
and he's still not. He was never a good singer. I mean, but yeah, I prefer Neighborhoods. I definitely prefer Neighborhoods over 21st Century Breakdown. But I have something else here.
Okay,
because I forgot to mention this. There's also I'm putting other albums in this one too.
Okay,
I'm putting Uno, Dos, and Tres in here too.
Why?
Because they align more. They came out in 2012.
Yeah, but they're kind of its own thing because we don't really have anything to base it off with Blink because they went on hiatus again.
I can put it in the dark years. It won't change my scores.
I think Uno, Dos, and Tres deserve to go in the dark years.
I'm putting it in the dark years then. Okay.
Because
I was gonna say okay. Because my main argument on Uno, Dos, and Tres, and we'll talk about it more when we get into the dark years.
Okay.
My main thing with that was that it's funny that Blink-182 released an EP in 2012 when I think there's an EP's length of good songs on Uno, Dos, and Tres.
I mean,
like maybe 6 or 7, maybe like 6 or 7 songs that I'm like, oh, these are really good songs.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
That's fine, but I think we can talk about the trilogy of records as their own thing. I just don't think we can give a point for those because we don't have anything to base Blink off of with it.
We don't have to. We can do that.
Because trust me, we can talk about them.
All right. You want to? Are we moving on?
Point for Blink.
I got Green Day at 4 and Blink-182 at 3. It's a lot. At this point, it's a lot closer than I ever expected. Josh Brown.
Here's the thing. It's close.
Yeah, it's close.
Here's my thing. I personally, like we talked about, I think Neighborhoods is their second best record.
It might be, yeah.
It is their second best record, without question. It's got some great songwriting on it. It's got some really good... I think Tom's guitar parts are good on that record.
Might be his best guitar work.
Yeah. All right, so...
Moving on.
We're moving on to Blink-182 Icon, because that's what's on the next thing here. So we're doing Icon versus International Super Hits.
What is this? No, we're not.
All right, so
moving on
to the dark years.
Tom DeLonge left Blink-182 sometime after those releases.
Again, for no reason other than to study aliens.
You know, it is what it is. But leaving the future of the band like totally up in the air.
Yeah.
In 2015, Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio joined the band.
We got to back up a little bit.
I was just gonna say.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that this happened. That he joined. He joined the band and filled in the Tom void, I suppose. So that's me getting caught up with Blink-182.
Okay.
Let's get caught up with Green Day now.
Okay, so Green Day was, in 2012, decided that, hey, we wrote so many songs that we are going to put out 3 records. They're going to be called Uno, Dos, and Tre. Now, Uno was supposed to be a straightforward rock album. Dos was supposed to be a sort of...
Bad album?
Hold on. Dos was supposed to be like a sequel to the Foxborough Hot Tubs record that came out in between American Idiot and 21st
I thought that was
Century
Tre.
Breakdown. No, Tre is the more...
Stupid.
The more... what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Expansive, but not as good record.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
I don't think any of them are that good.
We had... I don't... Okay, here's the thing about these records, and you know that I have strong feelings toward these 3 records. Uno is okay. Uno's okay. Tre...
It's 50-50.
Or, I'm sorry.
Uno's 50-50 for me.
Dos is an okay album if you don't look at it as a Green Day record.
Sure.
If you look at it as a Foxborough Hot Tubs record, at 60 psychedelic, trying to do some 60 psychedelic pop rock record, it's fine. It's not great. Tre and Uno should have been combined to be one record.
Take the best from each.
Take the best from each record and put them on one.
Okay.
Because honestly, Tre has some okay songs on it. Brutal Love is good. Missing You is good. Ex-Kid is good. And Dirty Rotten Bastards is good on it. Everything else you can throw away.
Sure.
I said what I said.
Okay.
I know people are like, oh, no, Tre is such a great record. It's really not, though.
No, it's not. None of them
It's
are.
not.
None of them are.
Dos, actually... Here's the thing about Dos. I think Dos is the best of the 3 records. I think it's the best of the 3 records, and it's not even supposed to be a Green Day record.
Not super into it.
And Uno had its wings clipped when it released "Oh Love" as the first single. So
I don't hate "Oh Love." No,
I just was not a big fan.
It's just a little long.
It's very long. It's 5 minutes and 3 seconds, and it should have been about 3.5.
So obviously we're a little mixed on Uno Dos Tre. Me more
Sure.
so than you probably.
Sure, that's okay.
I remember I did a review and
we did review it.
I remember we reviewed Uno
Yep.
and there were a couple songs I liked, like Rusty James. I like that.
Yeah,
one.
Rusty James is good.
But
Angel Blue was good on that.
In 2016, both bands put out new albums. Can you believe that, Josh? Both bands put out new albums.
Gosh.
Green Day released Revolution Radio.
Oh, real. Can
No.
I let me backtrack real quick. Let me backtrack just a second.
Okay.
Do you know who helped produce those 3 records?
No, I don't know.
Rob Cavallo.
Oh man.
Do you know who did?
Who's that?
Do you know what other albums from Green Day he produced?
No.
All of them. So how in God's name did he let those 3 records get released?
Sometimes the band just don't got it, and they just got to put out stuff.
Yeah,
but
he
Green Day put out Revolution Radio, and Blink-182 released their first album without Tom, called California.
Woo!
Revolution Radio, I think, does have some misses on it.
Okay, I agree.
With that being said, I think it's still definitely a step above their previous triple album, no doubt.
Yep.
With a couple of really ambitious tunes reminiscent of the American Idiot days. Would you not agree with that? We were just listening to one of those songs on the way here. Right?
Yes, we were.
What's that song called?
Forever Now.
Forever Now. It's got multiple parts to it.
I would say, honestly, if we're going to look at track listing again, Somewhere Now, Bang Bang, Revolution Radio,
the songs are all good.
Forever Now are good songs. I think Ordinary World's okay.
I don't like it.
It's not bad. It's just a soundtrack song, so they threw it on the
There's
end
one
of
of
the
those songs I
record.
dislike a lot.
Still Breathing.
I don't like that one, but it's not the one. Name some songs here.
Let's see. So we still got Say Goodbye, Outlaws, Bouncing Off the Wall, Youngblood, Too Dumb to Die.
Youngblood.
Yeah.
Youngblood.
I don't even remember that song.
It sucks.
I don't remember that song. Anyway, but if we want to talk suck, let's go over to go over to this album called California.
So I was going to talk about California now. I gave us a little bit of praise to Revolution Radio, but it's still a little mixed for me.
Sure.
Blink-182, however, released possibly their worst album to date in California with John Feldman as the producer. John Feldman, notorious for just ruining all albums. He was the frontman for Goldfinger. Oh yeah, dude. And yeah, he was also yeah, dude. He makes an album sound not real. It doesn't sound like real instruments. Doesn't sound like real vocals or anything. And the album sounds completely phony with overly processed instruments, obvious pitch correction, overall generic songwriting. If you know what, they liked it so much, they're like, you know what, John Feldman.
Come back and
do our next album, 9, in 2019, which was honestly, it's more of the same, and it might be a little worse. Honest to God, it might be a little bit worse. I'd say if you combine both records, there may be 4 to 5 songs that I can tolerate. Actually, the very first song on California is kind of good, and then it's just all downhill from there.
You know what?
I don't even know why they use so much pitch correction. Like, I know daggone well that Matt Skiba's got a good voice. I think the problem here is that Tom's absence is very much noticed. It's noticed. It's noticed because Matt Skiba and Mark have very similar voices.
That's what I was going to say.
So like you don't have that contrast where Tom has a higher voice.
Yep.
So it's all low registers, and there's a lot of auto tune.
I remember when I think it was Bored to Death came out, and you and I listened to that song, and you sent it to me. You're like, hey man, new Blink song. I'm like, oh cool. You sent it to me. I guess while you were listening to it, before you listened to it, he go, and you I remember the message you sent to me, and you go, I can't tell who's singing what.
Well, you can't tell because honestly, through the majority of both albums, neither of them sound like themselves either, because the processing is just like egregious. Yeah. Oh my God, it doesn't make any, and the songwriting isn't very good either. So it's just like it's just like double whammy. Like gosh, there's nothing really good here of any sort of substance. But Green Day released, to me, a career worst a year after 9 by Blink-182 in Father of All Mother Effers, or just Father of All. Some people just call it Father of All, which Needle Drop notoriously gave a 0 out of 10 to.
Buddy, let me tell you something. We're just going to get out on a limb here real quick. We're just going to get out here on a limb real fast.
Okay.
Father of All is the worst record, maybe of all of these.
No, it's not worse than California or 9.
I disagree.
I'm not sure if I believe myself either.
Here's why. Because you seriously on California right now, you could sit me down and play Cynical.
Cynical's good.
Hold on. Cynical, Bored to Death, She's Out of Her Mind, No Future, Teenage Satellites.
Bad songs.
They're better than everything. They have actual structure. They sound like an actual song compared to anything on Father of All.
Here's my argument, is that I do not like Father of All. I think it's them cosplaying as a different band and not doing a good job at cosplaying as this early 2000s garage rock thing. They're not as good as the Strokes, they're not as good as the Hives, they're not as good as the White Stripes. But here's the big point for me, is that at the very least, there's not a lot of like, I know they have like a lot of distortion on Jimmy's voice, not Jimmy, but Billy Joe's voice. There's
Jimmy,
but there's not like overly processing on his voice. The instruments still sound like instruments. Green Day's
the songs suck.
Green Day's albums for a long time
bad.
Green Day's albums for a long time I felt slightly overproduced, but not to the degree of 9 or Neighborhoods. Not Neighborhoods. My bad. 9 or California.
Yeah,
and. Dude, I would give Green Day the slight edge on that.
I can't.
But ultimately, what I'm looking at here with all these albums we just talked about, I'm looking at Revolution Radio, the one album that has some merit to it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at all these, and I'm like, well, Green Day's got to get the point. Just because of that, because 9 in California are so awful, and I hate it. And I don't really like Uno Dos Tres. I know you didn't want to consider that a part of this necessarily, but yeah. So
I didn't want to consider it a part of it because it kind of stacks the deck for Green Day in a sense.
A little bit. It's 3 albums in a row.
And
none of them are very good.
And, everything on Uno Dos and Tre is better than everything on Father of All. Every single song.
Maybe.
You give me the worst song.
I said it was their career worst. I said it.
on that over Father of All. And the sad thing is, and like we talked a little bit before we went on the air on Facebook and stuff. I thought Father of All, the song, was good when it first came out. Mm-hmm. Went back and listened to it today. I was like,
especially when you put it up with those other songs that all sound like that. Yeah, I don't like it.
It's just not, and it's not to mention the fact that it's the shortest Green Day album too, running at 24 minutes, I think.
24 minutes album. I could be watching an episode of The Office in 24 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Father of All is 26 minutes long.
An episode of The Office with a couple commercials.
And you know what? If it tells you how much I don't like this record, I have every Green Day record on vinyl except for this record.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
Because it's not good enough to be in my catalog.
Right, so, despite us talking major trash about Green Day, they still get the point. They get the point. Green Day's 5, Blink-182 is 3. Let's move on.
Move on.
Both bands put on live shows. This we know. They both perform live.
This we know. It's no question.
So now we're since from here on out, there's only one album to talk about. We can't really put it up against anything because Green Day doesn't have a new album yet. They have a song that leaked, but you can't go about that. So we're going to talk about live shows. This should be a pretty quick one. Even though both bands are wildly popular and put on huge shows. Green Day's just a much better live band. They just are. They're tighter.
They are.
And rather than use several backing tracks live like Blink-182 does now, they've actually just hired additional live members to perform those parts on stage, and it just makes it better. It just does. I haven't watched either of them live, but Green Day would definitely be the better band. Blink-182 has remained a three-piece in a live setting and have mostly suffered from it, aside from strained vocals and recently very obvious, even using auto-tune live. They're just fundamentally not as tight. They're not as tight as Green Day. Never have been.
Well, the problem is, too, they're not tight because Travis Barker is probably, on a technical basis, one of the best drummers in the game. But when you have to have two people follow him, they can't keep up because he makes it too complex.
It's not about keeping. He's leagues above both of them when it comes to their craft and their instrument. And it's not like he's not switching time signatures because they are playing to a click because there are backing tracks. It's just those two can't. They're just not as good as Travis. And sometimes you're like, maybe you should dial it back to make it easier for them.
But even before though, it just sounds like a mess.
Well, that's why you look at the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, and it's fake. It's
about as live as Kiss Alive.
Yeah, it's cool and fun to listen to, but I'd say the majority of the vocals were definitely recorded in post.
Yeah.
Maybe even some of the instruments.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's live. Whereas if you listen to a live album from Green Day, for the most part, that's what they're going to sound like. That's probably what they're going to sound like.
Yeah.
So.
How many times can Billy Joe go? Oh, Joe go, hey!
Yeah. So Green Day gets the point easy for me. Six.
Absolutely.
Green Day 6 and Blink-182 is 3.
Green Day starting to pull away.
We can just slide right into the next one.
Green Day starting to pull away.
The next one is similar to that, but it's because it's about individual members.
Okay.
As far as guitar playing goes, Billy Joe has played it more safe through the years, even though he still excels at what he does with the rhythm guitar playing, while Tom, at times, has stepped outside of his comfort zone to create more innovative guitar licks from time to time. So I actually prefer Tom as a guitarist to Billy Joe.
I prefer Tom as a guitarist too.
Obviously, but
Tom actually does some cool lead stuff.
Yeah, he may struggle live, but if you in the studio,
he's got some good stuff.
You're never going to hear a guitar solo by Blink that's like, oh man, wow.
Yeah,
but some of those licks and chord structures, especially if you look at stuff from Boxcar Racer and the Untitled album, are pretty cool and sick. Mark is a fine bassist, I think so. But he absolutely cannot stand up to the powerhouse that is Mike Dirnt.
No,
cannot. Can't do it, Mike. Especially that, like I was saying, that '90s bass tone and going into Warning is just like God. Have you ever really sat down and listened to the bass and When I Come Around? Oh, man, it's sick. It's the lead of the song, man. There's so many Green Day songs where it's just like the bass is the lead. It's the lead guitar, basically.
Well, my God, listen, it might be the most stereotypical thing to say, but the bass solo in Longview.
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
dude. That's why I think that. I think American Idiot is probably maybe their second best album, but for American Idiot on the bass definitely went down. I hate that. They need to bring that back up.
Turn the bass
so far,
up.
I got Tom better than Billy Joe. I got Mike better than Mark. Travis Barker, as we were saying, one of the greatest and most innovative drummers, despite his production instincts working against him recently doing like the Machine Gun Kelly album, which was just like, oh god, and even the new album was just like, oh man, why'd you make that decision? Trey is excellent, especially on their bigger sounding tracks like Homecoming and Jesus of Suburbia. But I just think Travis is a lot better. Like I know sometimes we look at like who plays to the band better, but I'm looking at Travis, and even on like songs I don't like by Blink-182, I'm like, that was like an incredible drum fill.
You can give me Trey over Travis.
I knew you were going to say that.
And the reason being is because, again, Trey plays, like you said, he plays to the band. He doesn't play to be overly flashy and overly flary to be a star of the band. He plays to what he needs to play to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I'm just looking.
And not to mention the fact he's a better live drummer.
I still don't think he is.
I think he is.
I just think that
because he knows when to dial it back.
I just think that live, the other musicians are so much better than Mark and Tom that if they were playing with if those guys played with Travis live, they'd be able to keep up with him live.
Well, I still think Trey's the better. As far as a overall well-rounded drummer, give me Trey any day.
Okay, so that's the end of that. Actually, that's the end of the point here, because there's no more points.
Do I give Green Day a point for that?
No, I gave a point for each musician I thought was better than the other.
Oh, okay.
So I gave a point. I gave a point.
1 point to Blink,
and then you gave 2 points.
2 for Mr. Green Day.
See, I gave a point to Blink, and I gave 2 points to Blink and 1 point to Green Day, and that still ends up being Green Day 7-5.
I have 8-4.
So I got Green Day as the winner. But wait, there's more. So yeah, we always knew Green Day was going to be the winner. But to me, it ended up being a lot closer than I expected. When going through the years, like, you know what, Green Day makes a good case at times, but if it wasn't for just some of the atrocities in there,
I agree.
Some atrocities. So let's move on to the very last segment of the show.
What's the very last segment of the show, Caleb?
Well, it is Blink-182's new album.
We're back with Blink-182's new album.
So Tom DeLonge's highly anticipated return to Blink-182. Blink-182 just released a new album.
And guess what?
This isn't a part of the point system, so the point's over.
The points are over.
We have Green Day as the winner. The points don't matter now.
I fully expected that piece of paper to go that way, not completely across the room.
Green Day's the winner. But
Green Day's the winner.
Blink-182 just released a new album one more time. This past Friday, which is the first album to feature Tom DeLonge since 2012. Well, EP. The EP, the Dog Is Eating Dog.
Yeah.
Yes. As of this episode, it's been pretty well received among critics. It's actually went down a little bit. It wasn't like an 80... Like an 82 or 83 on Metacritic. It's went down like a 73. I'm like, okay, that definitely makes sense to me.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
But yeah, I'm extremely mixed on the entire thing. I'm very mixed on.
Buddy, I'm not mixed at all. I'm not mixed at all.
You just don't get it.
Apparently, I don't. Apparently, I do not.
I really don't think. Once we get into the actual elements of the album, I'll try to understand more of where your headspace is here. But some of the stuff I don't. We've talked about it a little bit. I don't get. For me, the starters for why the album is mixed is the production and overall mixing on the album is just at times a travesty. Like I said, Travis Barker is a great drummer, but as a producer, I don't know. I don't understand some of the decisions made here. The drums sound compressed and processed to the point where it even hurts my ears, which is very evident in the opening track.
Yeah,
Anthem Part 3. Which I see as a song going over very well with fans, but like at times, especially on the intro, it sounds like they're trying to recreate the success of Part 2. But I think it does come to its own. I think it comes into its own eventually. And I think if you look at the lyricism, there's actually some pretty strong lyrics in the song. But the drum, the obnoxious drum mixing and processing is just like, I can't listen to this with headphones on.
Here's the thing, though, and I can forgive Anthem Part 3 for even sounding like Anthem Part 2.
It's just the intro.
I can forgive that. Even if it was a straight rip off of the song.
I was afraid that's what it was going to
be. I can forgive that. But God, the drums are so
it's probably the
atrocious.
I think it's the worst on the album in terms of the drum sound.
Yeah.
The bass drum, I'm getting Lars Ulrich vibes. I'm like, oh
Agreed.
no, I can't do this.
I agree.
The bass drum is like, the bass drum doesn't sound real, and it's just like pounding in your ear. I'm like, oh god, I can't take that. So yeah, that was a major concern throughout the entire album. That was a problem for me. Some of the drums at times is very uneven in terms of like what they sound like. Sometimes they sound good, sometimes like, oh my god. Even in a song that I like More Than You Know, the double bass in the chorus is loud. It's loud, and I like that song. But yeah, on top of all that, the vocal processing and mixing, particularly on Tom's voice, and you hear it on Mark's voice. It's sometimes like on edging. You hear it on
Tom.
On
doesn't sound like Tom.
He
doesn't. I don't. Let me.
I actually think he does sound like Tom.
He does sound like Tom. Right. They're putting stuff on his voice to make him sound like Tom. Whereas in Neighborhoods, he sounded like what Tom sounded like. You think they used AI on this record?
I thought about that today. And I'm like,
think they used AI on this record?
Maybe at times, because at times he does sound like he did in the early 2000s. Yeah. So I'm like, that's not. Then you watch him live, and I'm like, nah.
I really think they used.
It's possible, man. I want to hope that they didn't, but you know.
I think what they did was they had him sing the song, put it into AI, and had it doctored and touched up.
At the very least, they might have like higher pitched it a little bit. If auto-tune was used on Untitled or Neighborhoods, it was mostly invisible. Like I'd say definitely pitch correction was used on Neighborhoods, but you can't hear it. You can't hear audible uses of it. Whereas there's several songs here where you can hear it, and I'm just like, gosh, why?
The worst culprit for me is edging. To hear it,
it's awful because it's on both of their voices on that one,
dude. It's
whereas Mark, I'll say this. I'm super glad these three are back together making music.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so good. Especially after Mark's cancer diagnosis in 2021. Yeah. He had to relearn how to sing.
Well, let's not forget that Travis Barker was in a fucking plane crash,
for a guy who had to relearn how to sing, he clearly sounds better than Tom on this album, but it's still, like all Blink albums since Enema of the State, very heavily Tom.
Yeah.
Which at times, not so much of a bad thing for me.
We're not taking the shit out of them being back together.
I'm glad they're friends. I highly recommend watching their Zane Lowe interview on YouTube. It's an hour long. It's they go in on each other a little bit. They talk about how Mark's like, I never want to play music with this guy again. Talking about like after the fallout of Neighborhoods, it's good. Yeah.
But it's like we don't want to be. We're not trying to be that person of crapping on anybody that's happy they're back together and all that stuff, because again, we are happy about that. But maybe, Caleb, we're just stuck in the past. That's what it is.
I don't think
we're stuck in the Untitled days is our problem.
Listen, there's never going to be a time when Blink-182 ever makes an album as good as Untitled again. It would have had to happen a couple years after Untitled, because as we can see,
Neighborhoods came close.
I think Neighborhoods is a nice progression from that, and this is a mishmash of things that sounds like it could have been post Untitled. Some of it sounds like it could be post Take Off Your Pants, like Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, Enema of the State, and not in a great way. Obviously, as we talked about in some of the past episodes, not a big fan of the singles that were released for the album. One More Time, Edging, Dance With Me, Fell in Love. Oh God, I don't like any of those songs. With the exception of More Than You Know, as I was talking about earlier. I do think that's a pretty aggressive song. I know the bass drum is just like, God. But yeah, that's a good song. So as I was listening to this album, I know you didn't, which probably made your experience just awful. I skipped these songs.
Yeah.
I've even come up with Caleb's cut of this album.
Okay. Let's hear Caleb's cut of the record.
Well, it's on Spotify. I picked 10 songs.
Okay.
And I even put a couple songs I don't even like, because you got to have a couple songs you don't like.
I know.
But yeah, so I skipped those songs while listening to the album, and I think I benefited from it, because I know I don't like those songs, and from everything, even people that like the album will tell you that the flow of the album is weird. That there's no flow like there is on Untitled, where it feels like one big piece of like an artistic statement. This is just songs, kind of like placed together in weird parts. I think there's actually some really solid songs on here, and this is where me and you may differ.
Okay.
Terrified was originally supposed to be a Boxcar Racer song, and with its structure, you can definitely see that. That opening riff sounds like a Boxcar Racer song, and the chorus...
Terrified is good.
Welcome, Terrified. It sounds like Tiny Voices by Boxcar Racer a little bit. I was slightly disappointed in the song because this was the song people were saying this song is mind blowing, and I'm like, it's good, it's a good song, and it's the first song that really caught my attention on the album after listening to one song I didn't love and two songs that I loathe, being Fell in Love and that Ole 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 Ole.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that song in a minute. We're gonna talk about Dance With Me.
Yeah, I don't like Dance With Me.
I don't like Dance With Me either, but here's the thing. Like I told you before, the pre-chorus to
the Mark
Dance
part.
With Me, the Mark part is awesome, dude.
It's good, yeah.
It's good. And then it's just falls absolutely off a cliff.
I hate the chorus. It's lazy and trashy, and it features like my least favorite chord progression of all time, as well does One More Time. So anytime I hear that chord progression used heavily in a song, I'm always like, this they're phoning it in, because this chord progression has been used a billion times since the 80s, maybe even the 70s.
Yeah.
And yeah, this album has that sin a few times, and every time it happens, I'm just like, oh god, I hate this. Moving on, let's talk about more songs that I like, Josh, and more songs that you might not like.
Okay.
We talked about Fell in Love sampled The Cure or something. Like that I guess the claps at the beginning of the song samples The Cure, I think. It does not sound like a Cure song, but that has a bit of a, let's just say, quote unquote 80s feel to it, in the worst way possible. I hate it. Whereas the song Blink Wave, to me, is a nice detour into 80s oriented pop. That actually kind of reminds me more of Always from the Untitled. I really like that song. It feels legitimate. It doesn't feel pandering. It definitely, you get the processing and stuff like that. It's all over the album. The bad mixing is all over the album. But I like Blink Wave.
It's funny that you're saying that, because our buddy Seth Martin is messaging me right now, telling me how wrong I am on my take. For this.
I know you hate the album, but there's some songs I really like on here. I think that, honest to God, I think this album has some of their best songs of all time.
Maybe it will grow. Maybe it will grow on me.
It might.
If I ever listen to it again.
It might. Like I said, Blink Wave's fun. It sounds like an 80s song. It's not spectacular, breaking ground, but it definitely falls in line with. I think it sounds like a song off Neighborhood somewhat.
Yeah.
So yeah, and getting to another song apparently you didn't like, in terms of, let's go to the pop punk angle of the album, because there's some pop punk on here. There's some stuff that's more so alt rock stuff. The song Bad News is like a 2 minute and 20 second song, and I think it does a really solid job of being an energetic song with mature lyrical content about like falling out of love with someone. And to me, it doesn't feel forced or pandering like some of the singles we heard. If this would have been the first single on the album, I'd be like, you know what? It's not as good as Neighborhoods or Untitled, but I like this. This is a solid Mark song. It's got some really intense like drum mixed with the guitar lick parts there that I really love. It kind of reminds me of Newfound Glory a little bit, which I'm not the biggest Newfound Glory, but they dabble in like post-hardcore elements, and that song does that.
But listen,
it's cool.
Hurt is fantastic. Okay,
I don't hate Hurt. The Hurt interlude, it's like, I know it's like I said, songs are just placed in random places on this album. Yeah. And I'd listen to Hurt. It sounds like an Angels and Airwaves song, kind of, but I mean, you know, it sounds like Neighborhoods. It kind of sounds like Neighborhoods.
Turn This Off is okay too.
The
24-second.
I like it. I like it more than the Travis song later, the F-Face song, which he's just screaming.
Oh, yeah.
It has no point to it. But I like
Childhood is good.
Well, I was gonna get to Childhood, Josh.
Oh, sorry.
I'm moving on to another song you didn't like, which I can't. This one I can't wrap my brain around, because this song has been stuck in the chorus to the song.
Okay.
Has been stuck in my head.
Okay.
Turpentine. I actually feel stronger about the song than what my review says 2 days ago. Because I typed this 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. And I know the song has they put a couple silly lyrics in this, but the serious lyrics in this song are like, is some of Tom's best lyricism. Like, seriously, it's like, what if I'm not like the others? A broken man of Frankenstein. What if he's like, what if my heart can't recover? And I'm like, this is good. And then they talk about, like, they say some strange stuff in the song too, like the way that he pronounces turpentine wrong a couple times. Yeah. And that's on purpose. But I don't know. This song to me is unpredictable in its song structure. At times it like takes off and slows down, and then Mark has like a soft bridge. Mm-hmm. I've got to applaud a Blink-182 song that I don't know where it's going. Whereas if I hear One More Time or Fell in Love, I'm like, I can tell you exactly where every single one of these songs is going. So I got to applaud it. Turpentine's probably like my second favorite song. That song's been stuck in my head, man.
Okay.
Maybe it'll grow on you. It has a couple of strange lyrics in it, but I think it's on purpose. I think it's about trying to change yourself, so they throw in like a couple lyrics that are like, he says like, stick your dick in Ovaltine.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
but I like it though. Here's why I like it, because the song doesn't sound like a generic pop punk Blink-182 song. It doesn't sound like a take off your pants and jacket song. It sounds like growth. So whenever they throw in like,
yes, stick your dick in Ovaltine is growth.
I know, but the lyricism throughout the song, I like some of these lyrics. He talks about snorting Dramamine. I'm like, I feel you, man. I need to do that. Jeez, that's for real. No, I did.
Caleb,
maybe that one, the song structure on that one wins me over, and I do think it has, other than the Ovaltine line, it has some of Tom's strongest lyrics on it.
I swear to you, I think they sit around and just go, what is it? Tom sitting there going, what do you think's the funniest thing that I could put in a song? And Mark just goes, I don't know, stick your dick in Ovaltine,
That's the thing.
find out.
That's the thing. Turpentine is not a fun. Turpentine at times is a worrisome song. I'm worried about Tom sometimes in that song. So I think it blends elements of lyricism like, well, it does it well for me, but maybe not for you. You didn't like Other Side? The song before the last song, it's about Mark's old bass tech who passed away, and he talks about.
Well, now you make me feel like an asshole because that's what the song's about.
Other Side is a nice. It's almost like fully a Mark song. You know how Mark always has like one song
He's
right
got
towards
one
the end.
song. Yeah.
It's only 2 minutes and 10 seconds long, and I think it has a really. Like he's like, it'll never be the same stage right. He's talking about his bass tech, and he's like, we'll always, and he says we'll always have that coffee life because his bass tech owned a coffee shop, and I just think it's a nice song. It's a good song. It's a good way to before the closer, which is Childhood.
Yeah,
and I think Childhood's the best song on the album.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'd say it's easily one of their most unique songs up there with Fighting the Gravity. Lyrics are a little bit. Sometimes the lyrics on the song like repeat stuff that we heard throughout the album, like "Do you remember the time?" or like "Where is our childhood gone?" But the structure, this has chord structures in it that I've never heard in a Blink-182 song. I told you before that this is probably the closest they're going to become to being a shoegaze band with some Childhood. And I love the outro. It has like a little like Atari keyboard synthesizer outro with like a classic effect riddled Travis drum solo, which I think actually sounds really good.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I've seen where people are mixed on that song, but yet again, I got to applaud when they're actually doing something creative and new. Yeah. So yeah, I think that the album, if the album was mixed and produced better, the songs that I like would be so much better.
And if Tom sounded like Tom.
That's exactly right. See, that's the thing. Like, there's a couple songs where I really like how like on Turpentine, I like how he sounds. But even on Childhood, the audio, the processing and auto-tune is obvious, but it kind of works for the song's favorite somewhat. But yeah, even the songs I don't like, if they were produced better, at the very least, I wouldn't get annoyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's better than 9. It's better than California. I probably even like it more than Cheshire Cat.
I think that's why people are so about it right now, is because it is better than those last 2 records.
It's so much better.
And the fact and the fact that it is all 3 of them back together, I think there's a little bit of nostalgia goggles in them.
There's a little bit of that, but which is funny because the songs I like the most, I don't get nostalgic feels for. They're like songs where I'm like, yeah, it's not...
Because it shows growth.
It doesn't...
It's a band.
The overall album is if we're going from Neighborhoods, it is a regression from Neighborhoods.
Yes.
But it's undoubtedly a progression from 9 in California.
Yeah. Maybe I just want another Neighborhoods. Maybe that's just what
I mean, that would
another Neighborhoods.
That would have been nice. And there's only a couple songs. There's only a couple songs on here that kind of have that feel to it. So, hey, I was expecting literally the worst by judging by the single. So, like, my expectations were
the bottom floor.
They were in hell.
Were they in the?
They were in hell. And then I listened to it. I listened to it, and I was like, I might like more songs than I dislike, but it's still nothing special, and it's not very. It's very like all over the place. I'd give it a 6 out of 10, and I don't know if you. I don't know if you can give it a score.
I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to give it a score.
I'm not going
to. For the simple fact,
I'm not going to let you.
I'm not going to give it a score because here's the reason. I'm going to spend a little more time with the record. I'll see if it grows on me. And I will give a score next week on the show.
Turpentine. If I'm going back to Turpentine, which it could make a case as my favorite, but I still think Childhood is Turpentine feels like a much more mature and maybe even potentially heartbreaking version of Reckless Abandon.
Okay. Okay.
It doesn't have his generic song structure, but it still has like those lyrics that are like, what? But yeah,
I will spend this week during my travels for work, because I do have to travel quite a bit this week for work.
Just open your mind.
And I will listen to it a little more.
Once you accept that this is how Tom sounds on this album, and this is how Travis's drums sound on this album, and it's like, oh man, that's a bummer. I wish it didn't sound like that, but it does.
Yeah.
I've ranked the songs here. I don't need to say the ranking though. We don't got to do that.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
All right.
As we can see, Green Day won, and Blink-182 put out a new album that is divisive with us, but it's a hit for most people.
It's a hit for most people.
One more time. One more time.
Hey guys!
Oh my God, Travis sang on this. You know, when they performed
Travis sang the one line!
When they performed that song live, I watched it. Travis Barker's lip syncing his part. He's not singing it. He's lip syncing. I was like, they're like, oh man, Travis sounds so good. I was like, because he ain't singing the damn thing. But yeah, that is our episode, Josh. That is our Green Day. This was probably a long one.
It wasn't that long, actually.
Wasn't it? It was over an hour.
Yeah, it was over an hour.
Definitely. I'm guessing about an hour and 25. That's what I'm saying. Is what I'm thinking. So, what's left?
I guess what's left is to pick a topic for next week. I guess.
Who's picking? I forgot because we didn't pick this one. We just picked it by ourselves without pulling out.
I'm pretty sure that you had last pick, because I think we picked.
You do it.
I don't remember. Out of Mr. Lego Head Man here, let's see.
You do it.
What's we got? What do we got? What do we have? Whatever it is, that's what we are doing. Well, I believe Nancy will be seeing us next week, because we are doing Reddit Storytime reactions.
What's that?
That is, have you seen the TikTok trends of "Am I the asshole"?
I don't know.
Well, guess what? That's what we're doing.
What is it though? What do we do?
I'll explain next week.
Do I do anything?
Nope. You don't do a thing. There's no sort of.
I don't mean preparation. What do I do during the episode?
Oh, pretty much what she's going to do is that she's going to read off a thing off of Reddit or something, and we're just going to give our opinion on that person or on that said story.
Okay.
So we're going to find out little bit about ourselves next week.
Sure. Well, as we found out today, Josh has a bad opinion about the new Blink-182. But yeah, that's it, folks. If you want to find us, you can.
Where can they find us?
You can type in Chat From a Hat on Facebook.
Sorry, Seth Martin is now saying he's going to fight me, so that's
settled then. Just tell him that you like Turpentine.
I did. I told him there was a few songs on it that I liked, but overall, I think the album's trash. I'm sorry.
See, the problem with me is when people say like the album's flawless. I was like, come on, guys, let's be real here.
There's total flaws.
Like these singles are lackluster.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find us by typing in Chat From a Hat on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, and if you want to email us at chatfromhatcast@gmail.com. Joshua? You still want to fight? You still want a text battle over there?
It's still a fight. It's a fight on site. But yeah, so next week we're going to talk about Reddit, story time, reaction things. We'll get Nancy involved in that so she can find us our stories that she will have to, quote unquote, read to us. And then, who knows, Caleb? We might take a little seasonal break for a month or two.
Nah,
we're not.
We ain't gonna do that. That's crazy.
We ain't gonna do that crap.
That's crazy.
However, coming up though, since we kind of are nearing the holidays, we will go ahead and let people know that in the holidays we are going to have a few special episodes, and that's going to be kind of fun, leading from December into January, and then January we will have season 2. Because you have to break them up apparently on our website in seasons. So next week we're going to do Reddits. If you like the new Blink album, I'm sorry that I completely just shat on it the whole entire time. That's just my opinion. You don't have to like it. But you will respect it.
It's a 6 out of 10, folks. Okay,
whatever.
There's other critics that agree with me and others that don't.
Oh well. Well, folks, we will talk to you next week. Caleb, any last words?
No.
All right. Well, then we will talk to you next week. Go listen to Blink-182 and go listen to Green Day. Give them some more money. Have a good one, folks.